Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for another video today. Today we are going to be talking all about dose splitting, what it is, why it might be useful, how to do it, specific calculations and numbers and stuff like that. I want to go over that with you guys today because I have noticed that with the current shortage issues that are going on with Mounjaro and ZEPBOUND and just the cost effectiveness as well as the threatening of compound being taken away, that a lot of people are sort of reverting back to the idea of dose splitting. And so my original dose splitting video has been getting a lot of attention lately. And with that has come a lot of emails with questions or just comments on that video with questions on how to do it, what do I need, why is this useful, all of these questions that I then try to explain through an email, but sometimes it's just not getting relayed the way that I want it to. So I want to make sure that I am like clear on my, position on that and process on how it works and why to do it and when to do it and how to do it and what you need and all of the things, so that I just want to, clear a few things up, or maybe not even clear things up, further explain things so that everything is crystal clear, and I don't want to worry that like people are doing it wrong because of something that I said. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm not going to be splitting a dose in this video because I don't have one to split. Most of you know that I have switched to compounded tirzepatide, and so I don't have a Mounjaro to split, but I still have all the stuff and I still, know how to do it. I did it for a while, all of the things. So I'm gonna start with, why don't we just go ahead and start with what dose splitting is, why would you do it, whatever. So essentially what dose splitting is taking a branded Mounjaro or ZEPBOUND pen and breaking it down into smaller dosages to, they could be helpful if you're unable to find your dose. Say you need 5 milligrams, but all you can find is 10, then you can split that 10 milligram into 2 5 milligram dosages. Or if you're trying to get the cost down, which, I mean, who's not right now with the crazy costs of the GLP-1s, it's beneficial for that. And a lot of people, actually, a newer thing that I've been seeing recently is microdosing, where people, because Mounjaro has a half-life on days, I believe it's like 5 through 7 of your week dosage, there are people that are starting to microdose. So they will take like half of their dose or a little bit more than half of their dose every 3 days in order to keep a more stable level of the medication in their body, which I think is actually quite interesting, and is something that I think is definitely worth exploring. So if you want me to do some more research on that and kind of touch on that more, I definitely can do that for you. Drop it down below if you're interested in that. But those are kind of the reasons why you would split your dosage and why you would feel the need to do that. Now, as far as what you would need, I'm gonna go over this because this seems to be a question that I've been getting a lot lately. There are a few things since I made the original Amazon storefront with that sort of category for Mounjaro dose splitting. A couple of the things that I had in that store have either gone out of stock, they're not for sale anymore, what have you. And so I've been getting a lot of questions about like, hey, there's a couple things missing, I don't know what I need, whatever. So I am going to try and replace those things. There is one thing that I'm having trouble finding on the Amazon, like on the associates page where you can link stuff to your storefront. I'm having trouble finding insulin syringes, but I'm gonna show you an example of that, and that should be pretty easy to just find on regular Amazon. You don't have to go through a link or whatever. You can just search that on Amazon. But here's what you need. Let's go ahead and start with that. You obviously need alcohol wipes. I use these quite regularly because this is actually my like second box of these, and you can see that they're about half gone, I would say. This is a box of, I believe, 200 alcohol pads. And what I use these for currently is for my compounded meds. They do send me some, but I like to use one to wipe the vial off, one to wipe my leg off or my stomach off or whatever. So I like to use 2 separate ones, just as an extra precautionary. So I definitely still use these literally every time I do a shot. But you definitely need these for wiping down the vials, wiping down your injection site, and just keeping everything nice and clean and free of, problems. You need this. you need all of it, but you definitely need to make sure that you are keeping everything nice and as clean as humanly possible, because that is what the risk is that you could be introducing bacteria. With it being a subcutaneous injection, it's very unlikely. You're not going into your muscle, you're not going into your bloodstream. So most doctors will say, everything that I've read, that the risk of infection is very, very low. As long as you follow the steps and do this correctly, it's about the same risk level as getting compounded terzepatide and giving it to yourself. People have been giving insulin to themselves for years. People have been giving testosterone to themselves for years. When people are doing in vitro, they give themselves like Clomid injections and all of that. So this is not a new concept. It's just about being smart and having some basic knowledge on how to do things. So as far as the syringes go, the technique that I showed you guys in the original video was that you draw the medicine out with a bigger needle, like you fit a bigger needle over the smaller needle. And I am gonna link that original video down below if you wanna see me like actually splitting a shot. Definitely go and watch that one. But you do need the larger needle to fit over the smaller needle that's inside the Mounjaro pen. Some people do just put the pen right on top of a vial and shoot it in there, but I've heard of so much error with that, of you missing the top of the vial and the medicine going everywhere and you waste a bunch of medicine, and I'm just not about that. If you fit this over the needle and draw it out very slowly, there's really no risk for losing any medicine. So this one is a 25, I believe, gauge needle. 23 gauge needle. And it's a 3 milliliter, but that doesn't really necessarily matter. There's only half a milliliter of medicine in the shot. So you just need to make sure you have that 23 gauge needle, because that is the one that is going to fit perfectly over really any size syringe, as long as it's, thick enough and has enough room in it to draw it out, is fine. But yeah, so this is the size needle that you'll need. And this, like I said, just fits directly over the needle that's inside the Mounjaro pen. Again, go watch that video to actually see how I draw the medicine out. I'm just going over supplies and more details in this video today. So you need a pack of these. You will use one of these every single time, a new one every single time you draw out your medicine. Do not reuse anything in this process. That's very important. So you need that. You also are going to be needing some vials in order to put the medicine in, obviously. So when you're drawing the medicine out, you'll have it in that syringe, and then you want to insert the actual Mounjaro ZEPBOUND itself into a small vial. The one that I have linked in my Amazon store, is a pack of, I believe, 10. So that will give you splitting 10 shots. So you would only need to buy one, you don't need to buy these this is very cost effective. You don't need to buy them very often at all. And they come in these little packs of 2. So you get 5 packs of 2. It has a seal on the top, and this is a self-sealing vial, which again is what you want. You want it to be as sterile as possible. So after you puncture it, it self-seals back closed. You want that. So make sure that you do get one that is self-sealing. But yeah, this is the ones that I used, and I still have extra, and who knows, I might need to eventually dose split again. So I'm just kind of hanging on to it all. But yeah, so you will inject the medicine out of that syringe into this, and then the next thing you need seems to be, and the calculation on it seems to be the thing that I'm getting the most questions on. And so I wanted to make sure that I spent some time talking about that. The next thing that you need is bacteriostatic water, short backwater. You need this, okay? Unless you are splitting a dosage in a way where you're sharing it with somebody, and you're taking a 10 and you're splitting it into 2, and you and that other person are going to take it right that second. That's pretty much the only reason that I can think of in my mind that you would not need to add backwater. What backwater does, so this is what it looks like. It comes in a pack of 2 again. And what this does is it's a benzyl alcohol distilled water that prevents the growth of bacteria in compounded whatever mixed medicine. So this is a reconstitution solution. So when you are in the hospital and they reconstitute a med for you or whatever, this is what they use. So this is a safer way to do it. It's sterile. It says sterile, non-pyrogenic, and do not use if the seal is broken, obviously, which you can see the seal is still on this one. So here's the math. This is what we're gonna get into now, because I've been getting a lot. I've gotten like 3 emails in the last 24 hours about this, and I wanna do it right. Like, I wanna make sure that you guys understand what I'm saying. So, a handy dandy math notebook here. If you have, let's say you have a 10 milligram pen that you want to split into 4 2.5 milligram dosages. Okay, so inside that 10 milligram pen, let me back up because I want to shake it. The camera is on the table, so if I start writing on it, it's going to shake it. Okay, so you have a 10 milligram pen that you're splitting into 4 2.5 milligram dosages. Okay, so you are going to draw out the entire amount with the smaller needle. What do I do with that needle? With the bigger needle, you're gonna draw it out the way that I showed you in that original video, okay? Then what you're gonna do is shoot that into here, okay? Everybody understand that? That is going to give you 1/2 milliliter of liquid, no matter the dosage. No matter if it's a 2.5 milligram pen, if it's a 15 milligram pen, it is going to have 1/2 milliliter of liquid in it. That seems to be the thing that some people are getting caught up on. Milligrams and milliliters are not the same thing. All that the milligram is just the amount of peptides, the amount of terzepatide that was put into that 1/2 milliliter of liquid. So no matter what, no matter your dosage, you are starting with 1/2 milliliter of liquid, okay? Now, if you want to keep it simple, which is what I recommend doing, and if you want to stick to 1/2 milliliter dosages, which makes sense. So say you're splitting 10 to 2.5 milligrams, or 10 to 2.5. So you want 4 injections out of that 1 10 milligram pen. You are going to add enough bacteriostatic water, so enough of this, to make it so you have 4 1/2 milliliter injections, which means for this particular math, you would add 1.5 milliliters, 1.5 milliliters of the backwater. So 1/2 milliliter of the original medicine, 1.5 milliliters of backwater will give you 2 milliliters of liquid in this vial. Okay? Then you're going to swirl. Do not shake it. You might break up the peptides. You're not supposed to shake them. So then you're going to swirl the vial like so and store this in the refrigerator. I personally put my compounded still in a Tupperware container just to keep it a little bit more like away from other things in the refrigerator. I put mine in a Tupperware thingamabobber. So I store mine in a Tupperware container with the syringes that they send me. I just kind of put the whole package in there. But you want to store that in the refrigerator, okay? And then for the next 4 weeks, you will have 1/2 milliliter dosages, which is equivalent to 2.5 milligrams of terzepatide. I really hope this makes sense. I tried to break it down so that you could understand it. Same thing, if you're trying to split a 15 milligram into 3 5 milligram dosages, you want 1.5 milliliters of total liquid. So you have 1/2 milliliter of the original liquid and you add 1 milliliter of the backwater. So you want to end up with however many milliliters in shots. So say you want to have 4 shots, you should have 2 total milliliters of liquid in your vial so that you have 4 1/2 milliliter shots. Okay? Now, to draw it up, to give yourself, you are going to use, I use these quite regularly. These are the ones that I would link if I was able to link, and I will try to, but if not, you can just search up insulin syringes. These are 31 gauge, 5/16 of an inch syringes with 1 milliliter. It'll hold 1 total milliliter. So these, I think I actually have an open one. Yep. These are what you need for the actual injecting. Do not inject this needle. It'll hurt. It's a much bigger needle. You need to inject these smaller insulin syringes. This is a very tiny needle. And you want that smaller, that's what the 5/16 of an inch is. You want that, if it'll focus on it, because this is a subcutaneous injection. Anything longer than that, you run the risk of getting into a muscle. So you do want that 5/16 of an inch syringe. Then you are going to alcohol wipe the top of this, open this sucker, open the plug, and then you're gonna draw up 50 units, which I'll show you kind of what that looks like. 50 units is 1/2 milliliter on these small insulin syringes. So you want to draw to the 50, and then you're going to alcohol wipe your leg or your stomach or the back of your arm or wherever you're giving the shot, and you're going to give yourself the shot the same exact way that you would the Mounjaro pen, except obviously you have to do this yourself versus the pen and being an auto injector and doing it for you. I really hope this helps. After I've been getting all these emails, I really wanted to like explain it further, especially the part about breaking it down and how much of the backwater you need and why you need the backwater. So say you didn't add any backwater, okay? Say you decided that you were gonna take a 10 milligram dosage, and this is just all for shits and giggles because this really would be hard to do. And you put the 1/2 milliliter of liquid in this tiny vial. How are you, first off, it's gonna start the moment that you take it out of the auto injector. Even if you're putting it directly into a sterile vial, you run the risk for infection or not infection, but bacteria growth. And the longer you let it sit without backwater to prevent bacteria growth, the more likely you are to develop bacteria in your medicine. You don't want that. Just add the backwater. It's pretty cheap. It's like $10. So like I said, the only reason that you wouldn't need to add it is if you were literally splitting it with somebody right that second. You take a 10 milligram, you each put in, if you were doing that, you would each put in 0.25 of the total 1/2 milliliter, and you wouldn't need to add anything else if you literally were just doing it right there, right at that second. But that's not what most of us are doing. I would assume that's probably what very little people are doing. So you need to add the backwater. Even if you take the bacteria out of it, how are you going to draw up 4 injections from 1/2 milliliter? It would have to be like 0.125 each time, and that could become very tricky. It's such a small amount that could become very tricky to get it right every single time. So this helps not only with prevention of bacteria growth, but also with the accuracy of your injection. So definitely, don't skip out on this, y'all. For safety reasons and for accuracy reasons, just don't skip out on this. So I hope that this video helped you. Again, I will link below the original dose splitting video that I did where I showed you guys me actually splitting up a dose. And hopefully that can like further explain what I'm talking about with like fitting this over the needle and all of that, because I show that very well in that video. But I wanted to further explain. So I hope that this video helped a lot of you that are looking to split your dosages, and this is a new thing for you, and I wasn't as clear in the first video as I should have been. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. This was a bit of a bonus video today because I just felt like I needed to get this information out there. So I still will have another video for you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you then. Have a great day, guys. Bye.